Hello, race fans. Welcome to Short Track Guys Podcast, brought to you by Short Track Exclusives. I'm your host, Thomas Battis, alongside two other short track guys and good friends of mine, Jim Pokrant, driver of the number 07 Can'tQuitFishing.com sportsman here locally at Five Flag Speedway, and Ted Baber of Ted Baber Video Productions here locally also in Pensacola. Good evening, gentlemen.
Greetings.
What's happening? I'm excited. Let's do this. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to first get back to local season here with the sportsman class, which you haven't been actively involved in a long time. We're going on a third week this Friday, but you've been through two races, and you've had some pretty good success so far. So tell us about it.
Well, not too bad. We run second opening night to Brandon Fowler. Congratulations to him. He got a rocket ship. And then the second race, we won our heat race, and we ended up third in the feature, which is pretty good. We're still in the hunt for the points. And, Brandon won again. He's got a dominant car this year. We're hoping to get back there to it. Got to thank Can'tQuitFishing.com, of course, Emerald Coast Remodeling and Trim, my good friend Ted Baber and all his help, my friend Martin Beck, William Hay, and some of the other guys that give us a hand, Ben Cranford, Philip Gentz Brothers Racing. I work out of their shop. I just got to throw them a big shout out for all the help. And we're working on getting that car better. I found a problem with the rear end that we're fixing, and just the motor's a little tired. It's time to get it freshened up, and we're working on some sponsorship to get that done.
Right, that's pretty much all it is. It's just kind of little minor things for you to go and get set up for this coming Friday night and hopefully get that first win of the season.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, the car itself, with help of John Ruth and all his help, he helped a guy named Steve Buttrick that, if anybody that's been to Five Flags knows that Steve used to wear us out in this division. And John gives us a hand, and he has a big hand in getting that car to get through the corners better than it ever has. So it's a big shout out to him and all his help. But just a few little minor things we're doing, and then, we got 2 weeks off, and I'm going to tear it back down and go through it again, and hopefully we'll have that motor freshened up, and we'll get that 00 car.
What was the difference between the first week and the second, or the first race and the second race?
Well, the first race, the car never got in the racetrack. I think it was a lack of rubber on the speedway because it had been sitting dormant. Nobody really doing any major testing, and we've had a lot of rain. The second race, the car handled really, really well, but it's just not getting down the straightaway. I had a problem with, we run a rev limiter, which limits the engine to 6,200 RPMs because of the 602 crate motors that we run, trying to make them live longer, which it works because my motor's 6 years old and still competitive. So that says a lot for that. But mine was hitting the chip early. It was hitting the chip like way early, and I was losing straightaway speed. So we changed the box and fixed it. Thanks, a big shout out to Jerry Bowman, who races an outlaw stock, who gave us a brand new rev limiter that he had, and he's like, here, take it. And that's pretty cool for another racer to help out another racer like that, because those things aren't cheap.
No, and that's good that you've got people in that area that are willing to help like that.
Oh yeah, Jerry's a great guy. He's good friends with Eddie Mercer, and anybody who knows short track racing in Pensacola knows who Fast Eddie Mercer is. So it's been pretty neat. We're having a good season. I'm having fun, and that's what I do this for, because I realize that at 50 years old, I'm never going to make NASCAR, so I'm doing it because of the love of the sport.
All right. And after the first two races, you're going into Friday night. It's there's little changes. You plan on doing anything like maybe even a little minor for Friday night? Or you're just going to let it until you get those major things done?
Well, the biggest problem with our class is tire size, because you got to get them staggered right and match special according to Days of Thunder. But we have to do a little bit more to it. And the last race we had, the stagger wasn't where I wanted it. So we're going to try to make it better. And we take it across the scales at the track and make sure my sway bar is where it's supposed to be and not have enough cross and left side weight. And at some point during this podcast, we'll get into that kind of thing and front end setup and stuff like that. And just minor changes, just maybe some cross. We always try to make the car, even though it don't look much aero, but aero does help a little bit. We tape the hood, we tape the grill when we qualify, we tape the deck lid. And just little things. I mean, it don't take much. If you can gain 2/100ths of a second, that's a lot. So we work on that every week, just different fluids, just, different fuel, just trying to make something work.
Right.
It took a while to get him convinced that aero does make a difference at this in this situation.
Yeah, but the car that used to wear us out was about as aerodynamic as a brick.
Yeah, well,
But we're getting there. I'm having fun with it. That's the main thing, guys. If you need to get involved with short track racing and get out there and have some fun. Build you a car. You don't have to spend a ton of money to have fun. You don't have to win every week to have fun. Just enjoy it.
right.
Yeah, that's the hard thing, is to going out and enjoying it. It's nerve wracking. There's a lot of pressure that one would take on himself, and then there's the danger, But once you get in there and you realize after a period of time you kind of relax and learn to have fun, then it does become fun. But I can guarantee you, it doesn't happen right off the bat.
Well, it all depends. I mean, I did it because I love the sport from the time I was 9 years old. I've been going to Five Flags since I was 9. And watching some of my heroes like Wayne and Junior Niedecken and Dickie Davis and guys like Gary Ballou and Darrell Waltrip and Bobby Allison and these guys that are just Neil Bonnet, these guys are just heroes. And if they can do it, I can do it. And, I never had the funding to run up front until I started, getting a little bit of help here and there. But just to be on that racetrack making laps is just awesome. It's fun. Everybody I'm around I've made so many friends doing this. It's not just the racing, it's the friendships and the lifelong people that and getting to meet people that were your heroes, and what's really cool is when a guy like Eddie Mercer knows who you are. Mm-hmm. You're just a local little street stock guy and he comes, "Hey Jim, how you doing? Good to see you." Stuff like that is super cool to me.
Right. And wish you all the luck this Friday, and we'll get together next week and catch up on all the results there, and as we're going to do throughout the rest of the season. And Ted Baber of Ted Baber Video Productions is in the house too as a guest. And what kind of relationship have you had with Jim throughout the years?
Well, believe it or not, it's been exciting. I remember one of the best races I ever watched with him I was basically just covering the track like I normally do it, but I kept noticing this one car that seemed to be creating all the excitement, and that was Jim, of course, and he is Mr. Excitement out there sometimes. You really have to, if you want to have fun, you want to watch somebody have some excitement, just keep an eyeball on him, and it's going to guarantee you're going to have a good time.
Yeah, and how long have you been doing video?
This is my 22nd year.
22 years.
Yes.
Strictly racing?
Yes.
All right.
I tried drag racing once and kind of like watching paint dry.
So. So how did you get interested in how did you get started video production with the racing scene?
I'd been in either radio or TV for quite a while, and I actually started at the go-kart track, the local Pensacola Raceway Park. Mm-hmm. I'd been out there 2 years, and about halfway through my second year, I just wandered up to Five Flags and asked them if they had anybody doing it, and they said no. And I'm like, I was getting a little stunned that nobody was covering it like that, and I just picked up on it from there, and we went ahead, we'll just as fast as we could go on out.
And here you are 22 years later.
Yeah, it's a job I built, a career I made on my own.
Right. Well, welcome, and it's good to see you again. I know we've been friends for quite a few years, not quite as long as Jim, but I've known your work, I've seen your work, and I'm sure everybody appreciates your efforts and what you've done. They're always excited to get around and seeing what results, because when you're in the race car and you see video, it's a different perspective.
Right.
And when you have somebody that's readily available that's doing it out there and they know you're consistent, it's exciting to look back at it and learn from it, really. So that's a good deal.
It is, and he does an in-car in my car, so that helps too. I get to watch myself drive the car, and maybe I didn't feel something or see something, but I can watch that video and go, oh, that's when that happened, But like he said, I try to make things exciting. He's got some pretty interesting video of me sometimes showing my behind when I'm angry.
Yeah, once or twice.
Yeah, I've gotten out of the car and acted silly, but
racing seems to bring out emotions in everybody.
Oh God, yeah, you can get pretty upset at times, especially when you get stuffed in the fence coming to a caution by a certain radio DJ.
Who shall go unnamed?
Yeah, who speaks in cursive. That's an inside joke.
Well, the one thing about this season and last season as well is you're putting the car on the trailer consistency with no dinks, no bends. Well, except for the Derby once or twice.
Yeah, I cut a tire down at Snowball Derby. We had a car to win the race, and I was passing a guy on the outside. And he got loose and caught my left rear and cut the tire down. And we spun. We come into pits. We changed the tire, and somebody who remained nameless let my jack down without not one of my crew members. So I take off with 4 lug nuts, and they made me come back in and put a lug nut on, and they wouldn't give me a courtesy lap. So when I rolled out on the racetrack, the leaders were coming into turn 1 at full song. I outrun the leader. I actually put a straightaway on him, come back around, caught the tail end of the field. So I just got to get anybody out there can help me with my Derby luck. That would be great, because I have the crappiest luck at the Snowball Derby.
Oh, maybe Bubba can give you a call.
Yeah,
You guys can work together and both win the same year and get the monkeys off both of your back.
I think we both need some rabbit's feet or something. You know, I don't know what, but
Car full. I happened to be the guy that had the last lug nut in my hand when the jack was dropped down. So I went zoop, and he took off with that. I was like, what was this all about?
Oh wow!
yeah, it wasn't our guy that was supposed to jack the car that did it either. He shall remain nameless, but I chewed his behind after that race because I couldn't believe how fast we were, and then, you know, I was 2/10 faster than the leader when the checkered fell, and that's enough to make you want to puke.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You
Well,
know?
Ted, you brought up a good kind of point of view there between 2020 and 2021. Last year, knowing what everybody's gone through, and then now 2021, we're 2 or 3 races into our 2 races into our local season, coming up on the 3rd Friday night. But what, as far as you guys know, what have you seen out there that's different between last year and this year, and what would you anticipate it throughout the season?
Well, one thing I would like to see is more cars, higher car count throughout. Well, some classes are better than others. I'd like to see people get them out of the garage, get the tarps off of them, get them cleaned up, and let's get out there and get after it and have some fun.
Yeah, I agree. That's something we need. We need car count in the 2 lower divisions, which I understand, you know, that some people financially it's hard to do that. And don't think I don't, because believe me, I run on a slim budget. And if it wasn't for Can't Quit Fishing, which I went and saw James before I came over here, and he gave me some money to race on Friday night. A gentleman named Jeff Strong, who's buying me a couple of tires. Ted, who helps me out when he can. My buddy Will, who buys a tire here and there. My buddy Rick, tech master out of Fort Walton Beach, who works on BMWs. If you have one, go see him. But, I mean, they all help me, and they're doing it as a friend thing. It's pretty cool. And, you know, we do really well for what we have. I mean, I'm in an 8-year-old car with a 5-6-year-old motor and a wore-out driver, but I'm having fun.
Determined.
Yeah, I tell them, I tell these guys when I leave the pits, I'm giving 110% till the green flag to the checkered.
That's right.
You know, so it's a blast. And last year, we had a little better. We did more qualifying, and man, that's the first time I've ever been fastest qualifier last year. Because the old car was rolling through the center, thanks to John.
Yeah, he's got it hooked up.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But, you know, with the COVID thing last year, it shut a lot of things down, and it hurt a lot of short tracks. There's so many of them closing, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast, to also get the word out. Get your butt in the grandstands.
Yes.
Come to Five Flag Speedway, drink a beer, talk to your buddies. The racing product is pretty damn good in every division. So, for those of you that are dirt fans, come watch asphalt. Us asphalt guys go to the dirt track, and we watch and help, and we want all short tracks to survive. And to do it, we're going to have to get out there and get people in the grandstands. And Tim Bryan, who promotes Five Flag Speedway, knows that I will do whatever it takes to help him.
That's it. I mean, we have lost so many speedways due to that one factor, a lack of support.
Yeah. Oh, my hat's off to the Bryant family and everybody out there at Five Flags. They've done an incredible job since taking over. What, in 02, 03? Something like.
Yeah, it was somewhere around in there.
I think it was. It's just before I got started. Well, yeah, it was 03, I believe, because that was the first of the drivers' meeting before I got started. But my hat's off to them and that whole crew. They have worked their tails off and built it to what it is now. And even fought through the pandemic like everybody else has had to do with protocol and CDC and all they've done a really, really good job, and I'm so proud of them and happy for that family to, to preserve history, because that track is historic. It goes back a long time, and it's got a lot of names attached to it, and I hate to see it be plowed over and have an apartment complex or a shopping mall pulled over it. But
they've really walked a tightrope with this COVID thing too, trying to keep the state happy, trying to keep all the county officials happy and everything, just trying to keep it going.
Right. Well, that's kudos to them for sure. Well, we can move into youth and talent, which is another subject that we've got, going on with the short track, whether it's pure stocks or sportsmen or outlaws, or you want to go late models. If you got youth and you got talent.
Didn't we just have a 13-year-old win a race out there Friday night?
I think so, in the trucks, wasn't it?
It was in trucks.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing about youth, and this is just me talking. This is a veteran, been doing this for years. These young kids that are racing in these things do not pick up a wrench. They don't know what it takes to get the thing put together. It's mom and dad write a check. Kid gets a nice race car. They hire somebody to work on it. The next thing you know, the kid's running up front because he's got the best equipment.
Right.
And I think personally, and just my opinion, I think you should have to work on the thing because you'll appreciate it more. I've seen these rich kids destroy late models, wipe out half the field, and just walk away like, I don't care. Grandpa will write a check. I'll get a fresh car. It'll be pulled out of the backup, and we'll be racing next week. When you have to work on your own stuff, like back in the day when I was coming out there, you had to fix your own car, so you thought about running off in there and wrecking somebody. That's like at Martinsville a few years ago when that Miller or Matt, I can't think of his name, cleaned out the first two cars, including Bubba Pollard, and for what? He wasn't going to. If he did what he did, wasn't Matt Craig.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to win the race either. All he had to do was back out until he got down from Bubba. Would have won that race, but he plowed into him, knocked him into Bubba, and wrecked both of them. They don't have the experience. They're not scared, so they don't care. The cars are so safe now that they pretty much know that the chance of them getting seriously injured is not as prevalent, so they're willing to take more risks. I just think that if they're going to run that young, they should have to run in the Legends and the Bandoleros and stuff like that till they're at least 20. That's my opinion, but I come from the old school. I mean, the Cup guys, you didn't get a Cup ride till you were 30 years old. Right. Junior Johnson would tell you, come see me when you're 29 or older. But I've got nothing against these kids racing, but there's no heroes anymore. That's another thing I look at Cup. Back when I started watching Cup, you had older guys. They were heroes. They came up through the short track ranks, and they raced for years on their own money and their own budget, and then they come into a good Cup ride, and they do good in it, and you can cheer for them. And it's a bunch of kids.
They paid their dues.
Yeah. These kids nowadays, it's all about writing a check. I mean, there's only like two drivers in Cup right now with just on talent. One of them's Matt DiBenedetto, and he's got one last year with a 21 car. And God knows where he's going to get to go because you got all these young kids coming up that they're good drivers, but if they tear up equipment, they don't care. There's no, you know what I mean?
Right. They have no respect for the
Yeah, it's not coming out of their pocket.
No. And they don't have to fix it.
Right.
That's one of the things I can say about Chase Elliott. Bill made him work on the race car. When you wreck it, son, guess what? You're taking it home, you're taking it apart, and you're going to take it over to the shop to get it fixed, and then you're going to put it back together. And that kid's got a lot of respect.
Right.
It's a great balancing act. I realize we have to do what we have to do, but as an old school guy, and I am, that's the way I feel about it.
Right. Well, next Friday, we got the Pro Late Model Race, and Jim, you're going to be out there with your Sportsman car, and Ted Baber in Video Production's going to be out there working, doing his thing.
On top
and
of
we got the segment here before we close it out. It's a history segment that is sponsored by ShoreTrackExclusives.com, and Jim is going to present the history segment this week on Short Track Guys podcast.
Well, I'm going to talk about where I race at Five Flag Speedway. It's one of the oldest continuous tracks that's still around. It was opened in '53. It's mainly, our big race is the Snowball Derby every year, which started in '68, and we had Wayne Niedecken, a local driver, win the first one. I think he won the first two. Then we had Dickie Davis, and then it was a long time after Dickie won that another local guy won that race. We mentioned Fast Eddie Mercer. He won one. That was one of the biggest wins of Derby history. Johanna Long, which was a local girl that raced for years and made her way up to the trucks and everything, and she didn't go very far. But in '53, the Cup Series actually came to Pensacola Grand National back then. Herb Thomas won it in the Hudson Hornet, which if you want to look up a really cool car, Hudson Hornet's something to behold. It was a huge behemoth, but man, that thing would fly back in the day. I mean, we've had all kinds of great racing. ARCA comes here. ASA came one year. Now, funny story about that, the guys like to died. It was in the middle of July. Those poor ASA drivers from the Midwest had never seen such heat, and none of them were hydrated for this race. They had guys actually quit the race because of the heat. But guys like my hero, Darrell Waltrip, have won a Snowball Derby. I mean, all the big names in NASCAR back in the day came down here and raced. David Pearson, Bobby Allison, Davey Allison, Donnie Allison, all the Alabama gang. Red Farmer still holds the record for the most consecutive starts in the Snowball Derby. And Rich Bickle won 5. He's the only 3, 4, and 5-time winner of the Snowball Derby. And this year is going to be his last race. Is going to be the Snowball Derby. He's coming down to run the Derby, and he's going to completely retire. So that's pretty cool, And last year's Snowball Derby winner, I'm sure he'll be back, Ty Majeski, who won the Rattler and Op this year. That's one of those guys that's underfunded, don't have the money to write checks, but the kid's got a ton of talent and deserves a shot. So we're hoping. But we get to see all those drivers. They come through Snowball Derby, and you get to see a lot of big NASCAR spotters and personalities. James Finch comes down. Joe Gibbs has been down because his grandson raced at an ARCA race. So we get to see all these guys. So it's a neat little racetrack. And I'm going to say this. You get your friends together. You guys in the military, because my team is Patriot Motorsports. We love our military. We love our police. Get some friends together. Get a beer. You guys can come out and sit in the grandstands and cheer us on, because we're going to need it Friday night. We're going to do the best we can with what we got. But anybody knows me knows that I support our military, our firemen, our EMTs 100%.
That's true.
Yep. Well, Ted, Jim, I appreciate you guys being here, and we're gonna have a lot to talk about this coming season. We're gonna be back together again next episode, and I think that's gonna pretty much bring us to a close for the first episode here, and we look forward to the next one. Short Track Guys podcast presented by Short Track Exclusives, and we're gonna have future guests as well, drivers,
Yes.
guests, whether live in the studio or on the phone. We're gonna have those, and you guys are going to be an integral part of that to bring them in. And Jim, good luck Friday night. Ted, we'll see you probably next week. And any final thoughts before we sign off?
Well, just want to say, like I said, bring a friend to the track. Get out there and do some short track racing. Go build you a car or sit in the grandstands. Enjoy it, whether it's dirt, asphalt, or otherwise. Get out there and enjoy it, because we need you in the grandstands. We love having you. We love the interactions with the fans. Come down and get an autograph. You never know who you might see. You can sit in the car. We will talk to you. But main of all, support short track racing.
I agree 100%. It needs all the help we can get.